Good evening, XRP Future Millionaire here, and I wanted to bring you guys a special update. I wanted to update because we have the CPI coming up tomorrow, or not the CPI. We have the hearing coming up, or the meeting coming up with when they're going to talk about the inflationary things going on. And I wanna read a special article, and this is from my Trading View. And yes, it looks a lot different in front of you. I upgraded, got a tablet so that the show would look better. It's coming along. I feel more comfortable with this update. I wanted to make sure everything worked before my class. So now we're going to get into some news. And now this says next Bitcoin, buy the news event upcoming. And look how much better this is. We can see it. It's just like I have a laptop in front of me now. It's my tablet. It's got a 12.8-inch screen. I bought a really nice one. As you guys know the story, I used my points on my credit card. I let it build for like the last year. And yada, yada, yada. I bought the the Tab 7 Plus. The Galaxy Tab 7 Plus, and it's got like a quad core, and it's just like a gaming laptop, so figured it would make the show look a lot better, help me compete with some of the bigger channels, and now there can't be any excuses about the way my delivery looks. Yes, I used to do it on the phone before, so now we're doing it like this. So I hope you guys appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button, turn that bell notification to all, and subscribe to the channel if you're new or returning. So next Bitcoin buy, the news event upcoming. Taper and volatility seems to be the words of the month as Bitcoin gets further away from its $69,000 November all-time high. Along with the short-term bearish sentiment in the crypto market, Bitcoin had a pullback on December 13th, dripping below 48,000. Some people see more downside and others rather bid for Bitcoin USD gains. Bitcoin trading at 48,270 in the daily chart. Source Bitcoin USD on TradingView.com. Investors have de-risked as all eyes are on in the current FOMO meeting and the FOMC meeting and the Fed tapering of asset purchases, fearing Jerome Powell will be too hawkish. There are many speculations running around, and some experts have suggested this Wednesday could turn into a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Thus, Bitcoin could see buyers cashing in. As news BTC has reported before, the central bank is expecting to start reducing its net asset purchase month by month by $10 billion for Treasury securities and $5 billion for agency mortgage-backed securities. The scenario could get uglier for the traditional and crypto markets if the Fed decides on faster taper, doubling the pace to $30 billion a month, raising interest rates earlier, meaning higher volatility. Related reasoning, surprise Bitcoin sell-off causes extreme greed to taper. What traders are saying about Bitcoin. Analyst William Clement claimed on Twitter that as the FOMC is a known event, then anyone who is bearish Bitcoin or wanted to risk off lead up to the FOMC has been and will have already done so by then. Clemente wonders how many sellers will be left, plus how much capital is on the sidelines. In a sell the news, you have the opposite effect. The event is front-ran by insiders first and then works its way to the bottom of the informational totem pole. By the time the event occurs, no one is there to buy, and everyone who bought in anticipation that is offside. For this reason, the Anaylsis thinks the FOMC has a good chance to become a sell the rumor buy the news event tomorrow. Paired that will be illiquid supply back at yearly highs and some large Bitfinex bids coming in, just waiting for 53K to start bidding. Happy to miss some of the move and essentially pay for confirmation. Basically, Clemente is saying there is so much uncertainty around the taper that once investors get a glimpse at what it will actually look like, they might start buying again. This, of course, does depend on how hard the tapering will be on the markets. The bull could resume if expected amounts are met, but huge dumps could come otherwise if the Fed tightens beyond those expectations. Another Twitter user breaks it down. It's suggesting the market is overpricing in fear and selling off as a result. When the FOMC meeting occurs and uncertainty is removed, the market may react favorably even if a headline is bad. But amongst traders, several opposite views are found on Bitcoin's near future. And I think this is fascinating and something we needed to read through because we got to see the market. We got to see what the market feels. Michael Van de Poppy, on the other hand, commented that the market is dropping down and we're looking for a bullish divergence to be created beneath the 46.5K area in order to have a reversal possible. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I think we need to go back to 41.5, 41.7 at the double bottom. Then we can create a proper bullish divergence. And not this half-assed thing like Doge did or like we're trying to do. I'm talking a real bullish divergence. We go double bottom, we come up and let the moving averages properly come through. let the long term, the long term come through the short term and vice versa. We got to let it do it properly. A market report by the expert Ben Lilly read interesting warning and signs and concluded, it is clear next year will be a tough sledding. Part of that is because the response by the Fed will require tools that have never been used before. It is a tough task to tone down inflation after unprecedented new money supply being added, all while not creating a massive deleveraging effect in the debt markets that could result in a recession. Furthermore, Calco Digital Assets data provider analyzed the price movements as Bitcoin allegedly leans towards a higher correlation with traditional stocks than it does with gold. Overall, Bitcoin's correlation with traditional equities has been on the rise, while its correlation with gold has been mostly negative. Risk-off sentiment seems to be driving similar investor response for equities and crypto, disrupting Bitcoin's narrative as a safe haven and inflation hedge. Anybody who thinks it's an inflation hedge is... Here's your sign. There was actually 2 Bitcoin stories, so we could read through both of them, but do we want to go through this whole... I guess we could. So, Wikileaks and Bitcoin, a crypto love story, because this really goes into the sentiment. The story of Wikileaks and its move to Bitcoin is a popular one. Amongst crypto investors, when Wikileaks had first come out, it quickly gained popularity for publicizing news leaks and classified information on its site. Founded in 2006, the not-for-profit organization has had an interesting history, one of those being its founder, Julian Assange, being sent to prison. Even more interesting is the organization's history with leading cryptocurrency Bitcoin. The anonymous whistleblower platform had gotten on the government's bad side over leaked documents that contained sensitive and classified military information. The organization, which depended largely on donations, had suffered greatly from it. This as payments processors like Visa and MasterCard had distanced themselves from the entity. WikiLeaks turns to Bitcoin. After being cut off from traditional methods of payment, WikiLeaks has turned to the next best thing. At this point, the organization needed something that could not be tracked or controlled by the government, and it turned to Bitcoin donations for this. Julian Assange had accused the U.S. government of endorsing that he referred to as an illegal banking blockade against WikiLeaks, forcing entities like Amex, Visa, PayPal, etc. to stop supporting the organization. According to Assange, this had spurred the entity's move into Bitcoin. Bitcoin was still relatively new at this point in 2010 when the blockade went into effect. Bitcoin was only a year old and still trading relatively low. That same year, WikiLeaks had begun receiving cryptocurrency donations, which was just Bitcoin at first, but has since expanded to include other cryptocurrencies. How well have crypto donations go? WikiLeaks has done well in terms of donations. Bitcoin was only trading at a low 6 cents when the organization began receiving it as a donation in 2010. The digital asset has since grown over the following decade to a high of 69,000 in 2021. In 2017, founder Julian Assange tweeted saying that WikiLeaks investment had grown over 50,000% from when they began accepting the digital asset. Assange went further to thank the U.S. government for being the push behind this move. Bitcoin has since grown a further $50,000 since the founder made this tweet. How far has Bitcoin come? Presently, WikiLeaks now accepts donations in 6 cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Monero, Litecoin, and Zcash. This report from Crypto Potato analyzed the history of the various wallets and concluded that WikiLeaks has received over 2.2 million in donations using cryptocurrency. So, however, this excluded Monero donations, as they reported stated that donations using the privacy coin could not be tracked. Additionally, WikiLeaks also received a donation of 1 CryptoKitties. Julian Assange is currently being reprimanded in Belmarsh prison in London after reportedly suffering a stroke due to stress. The transient ischemic stroke was said to have occurred after the High Court overruled a judgment that prevented the Australian national from being extradited to the U.S. So that's a lot of stuff. I don't usually read a lot of Bitcoin articles, but I like Bitcoin when we have to read into stuff. And there's a lot of stuff here that we need to read through. So this is kind of just like I think it's important. And then this is the last thing I wanted to go through. This is some shit. So senators urge Treasury to set crypto rules. 6 senators have requested that the U.S. Treasury rapidly engage in rulemaking concerning a recently passed bill. In November, the Biden administration passed into law the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, IIJA, a bill that imposed a bill that imposed transaction reporting requirements on crypto companies and protocols alike. The bill attracted criticism at the time over concerns around the term brokers and the requirements that would pertain to them. That term was defined broadly enough within the bill that it would apply not just to crypto exchanges, but also to mining firms, wallet companies, and others that do not directly handle cryptocurrency transactions. That concern was reiterated in a letter published Tuesday by various senators. One part of that letter reads, some market participants have expressed concern that an overly broad interpretation of broker could capture certain individuals who are solely involved with validating transactions. An entity solely providing software and hardware solutions enabling users to maintain custody of their digital asset wallets. The author continued to insist that the law should have an appropriate scope and urged the U.S. Treasury to engage in rulemaking under the Administrative Procedure Act, APA, in an expedited manner. They also urged the Treasury to issue informal guidance before the end of 2021. The letter is signed by 6 senators from both sides of the political aisle. Senators Rob Portman, Mark R. Warner, Mike Cabot, Kristen Sinema, Pat Toomey, and Cynthia Lummis. Some of those senators were originally behind attempts to modify the bill through an amendment as early as August. Those amendments would have narrowed the definition of brokerage to mainly include crypto exchanges and similar companies. The request detailed in today's letter should be received well by the crypto community, as they show that there is still resistance to an overly broad reporting law within the U.S. government. However, some experts have expressed concerns that the requested deadline is so short that the request could backfire. Executive Director of CoinCenter, Jerry Brito, suggested that this could lead to rushed guidance without public comment. He insisted that rulemaking should strictly be carried out through APA and public comments. Though the infrastructure bill was passed into law last month, the provision will not take effect until January 2024, and the U.S. Treasury must still determine how to enforce its contents. So I think that's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. We'll get into more of this later. But there's a lot of things that we're going to go through in here as well. We can even go through some futures. But I want to get into my out of the news right now. Even though I'm fascinated by all this. So we'll be going through a bunch of news later. But I want to just go real quick. Let's look at XRP. We had a daily close for XRP. We're down 0.71% since the flip, and we closed at about 80.1 cents. We closed under the 30-day time frame and the 200-day. As you can see, it's a lot easier to see this, a lot more content. You can see this all the way back. We can watch this chart way, way back, and we can even go into the all-time chart now, no problem. Like I said, I put in what I've earned, some of my earnings, and I gave back to the community for supporting me to make this a easier and more professional broadcast. So I want to thank each and every one of you who have made this possible, especially the people in Tom's Army, the 179 members at $9.99 a month. Even though I put this content out free, I don't do trading alerts. I don't do any kind of links for you to click. I don't ask you to click on any kind of, Robinhood bullshit or anything like that with Bitfinex, any of it. All I ask for you is to pay it forward if I help you, if I've saved you anything, and join for $9.99 a month. Obviously, you can always send a donation, which I would greatly appreciate if anybody wants to. Throw it in the community fund, but if not, that's okay. I would rather you be in Tom's Army. If you join Tom's Army, you get the exclusive emoji badges. You get the exclusive content when I do exclusive content, which I've been doing more just for everybody because it's just more inclusive. And then you also get the special Telegram. There's 102 people in there right now. We lost a couple members, but they didn't renew their monthly membership, and that's part of the monthly fees. So if you pay the $9.99 a month, that's something special you get, and why should I give it to somebody else? If you're going to pay, and that's your perk, I'm not going to let somebody else have it who's not going through with it. So if we look at this on the monthly, and we go all the way back, look how the monthly chart looks. I mean, there's nothing good here. We've got crashing volume. We're crashing in price. We're going to get down to where we need to go, but we're not quite there yet. If we break this down into the weekly, we touched down once on the weekly time frame. We'll adjust this just a little bit. Well, I want to keep it there for the double bottom, but we're moving up slightly, but 57.50 is the double bottom. We've got a heavy resistance area right here at 81.587. That even in the daily time frame today, we're on our squeeze candle. So if we're going to break down, this could either be the candle that does it, or it could happen tomorrow. And you would simply get something like this that would come down, and then you could do this and then maybe shoot back up. Or you can get this where you come down around and then you shoot around and then you start doing this. But you see the importance of me having a nice big tablet like this, and a nice one for us to see. Oh, shoot. So that we can actually draw out the patterns. Okay, so we get rejected. We come back down here. We double bottom. Right? And this would be a triple bottom if we did this. So actually, I don't want to do that. But let's just say we do this. We come down, hit the double bottom. We find our support. We come back up. We tip through here, and then we come back down. There's a lot of stuff. Well, we don't need the bar replay anyhow. I hit the opposite button. But, you know, we can expand this chart now. We can actually expand. I can actually go in deeper with you guys. We can actually look at this and be like, okay, what do we need to look at? We can break this down for real. Like, this is so much better. This is what I needed to do, and it's about time. And I really do want to thank each and every one of you. Once I got to 5,000 subscribers, I knew that I was going to do something special for the audience. And this is my way of saying thank you so that you guys can get a much better viewing experience. Now you guys can actually see this pennant that I've had out here for so long. And it goes all the way back. And it is prefaced, if it comes all the way down, on a hit on 52 cents. And we followed through this thing so beautifully that I'm not sure that anything else is going to happen. We've come above it a couple times. But that was the best way that I could do this. And now we've got this inside out wedge that created, as we said would once we came down farther. And obviously you'd have to be watching this for some time to watch this develop. But then I think when we come down through, we're going to do something like that inside of a symmetrical triangle once we fall down again. And then we're going to break out, though. I think we're going to break out of there unless we break down, and that's how you would get this kind of formation starting, how I have it breaking like this. That could either break down on a continuation, or this will break up, and this would be our nice big move out of here. Now, if it wants to break up, you would likely not do this, because this would likely break down. If you're going to break up, you'd likely bounce on this, and then, you know, you'd power up. You could even do this and follow this, and then when you got up here, you'd bounce up and then take your way instead of finishing off this. If you do this, I believe this would probably indicate you're probably going to break down. So if you break down from here, we've got a little bit of issues. But if we break down from here, we've got 57 cents for sure as support. We've also got 64.5 that we could potentially stop, which I don't know why it would, but it could. I'm going to delete that because that's not even really a stopping point. I think 57. I think 65. I think 65 would be more realistic if it was going to stop. It would stop somewhere in the neckline around here. So, okay, 67. 60. I like that 65.7 though, because that's what kept coming up in my chart. So, I mean, that's what I could see happening here, guys. So, hopefully this helps. Make sure to hit that like button. I really do like this style. And since we talked about Bitcoin a lot, let's look at the Bitcoin chart real quick. We had a close over 48,000. It's about 48,000, 342 maybe. We'll just say 4333. Or 48,333. 48,300 basically. And right now we're down 0.89%, but we closed over the 30-minute time frame on the 200-day, which is kind of funny. Because it came right back through it and you could see it was going to. But this is either one of two things. And I know it sucks because it's one of two things, but now that we have a bigger chart, it'll be a little bit easier. So this is either doing this, and this will create and ride these short-term moving averages and potentially do something like this. And this is where we can make this retest up here at about 50,675. Then, you know, we might be able to come through. So something like that. Or this is a hook and we can finally start this push down. But to me, I don't know, because it's being supported by these moving averages. It kind of seems like it wants to come up and possibly retest that, because this is the buy the rumor, sell the news. So if you're buying the rumor, you would buy right now, have it spike up right before the inflation meeting, and then bam. If it's if it's sell the news, or if it's buy the rumor, sell the news, it's what I just showed you. If it's sell the rumor, buy the news, which happens a lot, because they could be anticipating something less harsh than happens, you could get a big hook down, hit that double bottom, and then the news comes out and you get that huge pump because they're like, oh, it's not as bad. They're not tapering as much. But I think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be anything good's going to come out of that meeting. So, guys, that's what I wanted to show you. And with Bitcoin, I'll just tell you the support resistance real quick. In this area, we've got 47,108 support, 48,178 resistance. Although we're trying to turn 48,178 into support to, kickstart a move to 49,235 and possibly finish that off and go up to 50,675. It's a long shot, but that's what we're trying to do. Stay blessed, everybody.